I've been in business for 7 years. Whoa, even saying that freaks me out a little bit. You would have heard me say that I started with no cash, no clients, no idea, and definitely no visibility. In fact, I was basically invisible. I knew that I was a great coach, but I was also the world's best kept secret. Frustrating, I know. Today I want to take you behind the scenes with me and tell you what I did to become visible in my space. There are some easy wins, and then there are some more tricky wins. There are wins that are free, and then there are wins that cost money. And so I kind of figure that I start with the ones that don't cost very much money. And let's see how we go. I reckon there are 4 main things that I did: a blog, a newsletter or an EDM, socials, and networking. Let me break those down for you a little bit more. All right, blogs. I blogged once a week. I keep blogging once a week for 7 years. That's crazy, right? I did not love writing. That's my secret. I did not love writing, and I knew to be successful, I had to put my words out there, and I had to own my voice, and I had to talk about the things that really mattered to me. And so I had to get better. And so I found a formula that worked for me, and then I worked that formula really hard for 7 years. Keep doing it. And then I popped it on LinkedIn, and I used that article for my socials and different bits and pieces. Which brings me to my next point, a newsletter. Once a week, I would send a newsletter to my list. Now, when I started, I had 3 people on my list. It's grown over 7 years, right? But the reality is that I used the blog to force me to share my stuff with people. And that really helped me do that. Question: do you have a newsletter or an EDM? I bang on about this a lot. A lot of women I speak to are like, I don't need a newsletter. You know what, girlfriend? You actually do need a newsletter. Do you know why you need a newsletter? Because LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, X, they're all not owned by you. And so the only way you can have direct access to your clients or your customers is through a newsletter. So if you don't have one, may this be your warning. Get one, work out what regularity you're going to send it, and then move your tush. Just saying. The third one is social media. I show up very consistently on socials. I didn't want to be one of those people who you met at a function and you were like, you're nothing like what you appear on socials. I did not want to be that. So I made a very deliberate choice to show up as I am. No makeup, normally in active wear, but always showing up. And then networking. I know, don't roll your eyes at me. Some networking can be fun, I promise. Look for local and free networking in your area. We didn't have any where I lived. I live in Knox in Victoria, and so I started my own. Easy. Lol, not really easy, but it's called Eastside Business Collective, and we meet once a month. If you're a local to me, follow that on Instagram and you can join us. We have about 20-25 people who come every single month, and we just have coffee for an hour and hang out. It's awesome. We also have some paid versions because, let's face it, when you pay for something, you do rock up a little bit more. I don't know if you've been to many free things, but when you have a free thing, you're more likely to ditch the free thing over the paid thing. Just saying. I've seen you. We have Business with a Queen, which is virtual, and you can wear your Ugg boots, which I love, even your hoodie if you want to. And we have events throughout the year. We've got Go-Getters Day. We've got a very special event happening. Here you go, secret. It's called Day with the Queen. Look, I got nicknamed the Queen and I've just run with it. My last name is McQueen, and I've told my husband if we divorce, I need to take the name with me, right? But anyway, it's called Day with the Queen. It's on September 6th. Yes, it's in Melbourne, but might be worth a plane ticket. And if you want to try networking that's fun and genuine with 99 other women in the room, check out our website. There are so many other ways to get visible, aren't there? There's so many ways to get visible. As you're listening to me right now, what are some other ways that you get visible? Leave us a comment or shoot us a DM. The more the merrier. I just think there's so many other ways to be visible. Now, if you've been in business for a while or have the means to do these next 4 things, I would think about these a bit more. 1, photo shoots. Please don't roll your eyes. Stock images. This has been a surprising one for us. What number am I up to? 3. Case studies. And book writing or publishing. I'm going to work through each of them because I want to show you the intricacies of that. Okay, so a photo shoot. I try and do a photo shoot every single year. I know, sounds crazy, right? But we're on socials a lot. There is nothing better than fresh photos to make you feel the goods. Is that right? Oh my goodness, I love fresh photos. Mine are done by Femims. You all probably know that each and every year. And we use a lot in socials, And when you're showing up in a newsletter once a week, you want to have some nice photos, right? So we use them a lot in socials. And I know it can be hard to put yourself out there, but people genuinely want to connect with you. So let them connect with you. Make sure you got some decent photos. Don't be doing selfies. Don't be doing any of that stuff. Get some really good photos. On photos, I will add, video is amazing. You got to show up on video. I've talked about this before, we use an app called Marco Polo, which is the old version of Marco Polo in the pool. And that helps our clients show up on video because we all have to get confident on video because that's where it's at. The surprising one to me is stock images. So I outsource my socials. So we use Beck from Creative Seed Co. And she's amazing. We have been working together for a number of years now. And so I send her all my content and then she pretties it all up and does all the things and it's awesome. But she's always looking for more content from me. So when I found these images, I'm like, Beck, what do you think? She's like, yes, please. So I came across a beautiful individual. Her name is Sarah Actag. And her beautiful stock images that she takes herself. So they're not from Canva, they're not from anywhere else. She downloads them into the gallery and you can have as many as you need. And she is incredible. She also asks for feedback, so I like to give that a lot. And she does beautiful feminine, different colors, stock images for us to use, and we use a lot. And if you sign up for a year, you get to download the galleries and use them. It suits us. Beck loves it. And who doesn't love a happy social media manager? Me. I love a happy social media manager. So if you haven't connected with Sarah Actag, do so on her socials. Case studies. This proves to potential clients that you have what it takes to help them out, that you understand their needs, and when you work with them, this is what happens. It's an awesome marketing tool, underutilized. I do not see many people using case studies at all. I use, because I know that you're going to DM me and say, who do you use for case studies? I use an amazing woman called Claire Puckey. She is part of my Thriving Women gang, and she owns a company called The Human Element. Go search her up. She's amazing. She's also a little bit sassy, which I love. I love you, Claire. And she's a bit of a legend. So she sends me homework. So I say to Claire, I want to interview such and such, and she'll send me homework. She'll send them homework, and then she goes and interviews them. And then she pulls it together in these beautiful words, and then I flick it to my graphic designer and she makes it pretty. So good. We get so many comments about our case studies because it's proof that we are doing the things that we need to do. Book writing / publishing, I would say. When I first started, I wrote a paper called Self-Creation, The Choice is Yours. It was amazingly aimed at women, and it wrote about some of the myths that women tell themselves. And my mentor at the time, hi Richard, said, yeah, that's the start of a book. And I'm like, no, don't want to write a book. He's like, yep, it's the start of a book. And so as you do, I wrote a book and I called it Go Getter, which has helped so many women. It's also available on Audible if you can stand my voice. And I would love to hear your feedback on that. So the next time you're thinking you need a zhuzh-up, use some of the ideas here to think about your target market and how you might get in front of them. Some are slow burn and some are easy and quick to do. I will say a little warning. When people come to me and they're making about 100 grand a year or less and want to start a podcast? I say no. It's not a popular choice. They are not popular words that come out of my mouth and they hate me. But the thing is, a podcast takes work. Great visibility if you're earning over about $200,000 to $300,000 a year. The stats are most podcasts fizzle out after 8 episodes. So there is a lot of podcasts that get started and not many that continue. And I'm proud to say we are in year 5 of our podcast. Wowzers. One of the things that I tell my clients is while you're busy worrying about showing up on socials, video, LinkedIn, Instagram, all the things, so is everyone else. They're not looking at you per se. They're so focused on themselves. And I like that as a reframe, right? Because it helps me care less. Even on this podcast, you don't get much feedback on a podcast. If you're listening to this podcast, I would love some feedback because you don't hear anything. And if someone reaches out to you and goes, oh yeah, I'm listening to your podcast, or I'm having a conversation, I'm like, great podcast last week. I'm like, oh, did you listen to it? I have no idea. So even on this podcast, I start to worry, is it enough value? Will people like it? And then I tell myself a really useful story, which is this. Emma, no one's even listening. It works a treat. Sometimes we just have to hack our brain. I hope this has been really useful for you. This is a bit of a behind the scenes, a bit of a different episode for me. And I just think we need to show up and we need to be visible because we're all running businesses and we're all the CEO of our own businesses. If you need some help with it, let me know. I've got a whole directory of cool people that I can introduce you to. And I would love to hear what's resonated for you in this episode. What do you think you might try? And what do you think you might ditch? Because sometimes things just don't work for us, right? They've got to be in alignment. Thanks for joining me on this episode of Tea with a Queen.